Honorable Dr. Toshiba Abe, Member of Parliament and former Minister of Japan, Honorable Maria Rose, MP, Cameroon, President of African Parliamentary Forum on Population Development, Mr. Varun Kumar Anand, Acting Regional Director, International Planned Parenthood Federation, Bangkok, Srimati Biplava Thakur, the vibrant MP of the Rajya Sabha, who even though looks to be lovely and friendly to me now, but in the house who fights with me like anything, and Mr. Manoj Sharma, who is the force behind all these activities, who is the real person behind, and not only behind, in front also. So, and Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I tender my apology for not being present here yesterday and in the forenoon session, because this seminar or conference is being hosted by both IAPD and APDA. Now I will turn to my prepared speech. Well, Excellencies, I am happy that Indian Association of Parliamentarians on Population and Development and the Asian Population and Development Association have come together to organize this important meet on enhancing the role of parliamentarians in the interlinkage between population issues and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I am happy to mention here that we have the blessings and guidance of Honorable Mr. Yasuo Fukuda, former Prime Minister of Japan, for this conference. After an intense two-day deliberations, the conference is coming to an end on a happy note. Yes, with a very meaningful declaration for action. And one important part of that declaration is what parliamentarians should do. I think that part everybody should read more than once, and that is a part you should keep in mind. I would like to put on record my sincere thanks to the organizers of the conference for having chosen India as the venue of the conference. India is considered the most appropriate venue for the subject, enhancing the role of parliamentarians in the interlinkage between population issues and 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. According to the concept paper of the conference, India is the world's largest democracy and home to 1.3 billion people, which is bigger than the whole of African population. Being a highly diverse country with a diversity of culture, language and ethnicities, India now enjoys one of the fastest economic growths. The country's, of course, there is a slight decline now, but however, even then, we are a fast-growing economy. The country's investment in young people is the driving force behind such growth. The pool of well-educated, skilled youth people is making the country an IT capital. Indian economy has a great influence on the African continent, especially East Africa, due to the long-standing historical, cultural, and commercial connections between India and Africa. The concept paper has recognized the power and role of the Parliament, which is well established in India. It is contended that addressing population issues calls for an approach to help people to make free and informed reproductive health choices. And parliamentarians, as representatives of the people, have a crucial role to play in this regard. We in India realized it in the late 70s and therefore established the Indian Association of Parliamentarians on Population Development in 1978 itself. This organization has been striving hard to make the government program of family welfare, a people's program. It is continuously sensitizing the elected representatives through seminars, orientation programs, and other media, the complex interactions of population and development. As policy makers in the parliament, the elected representatives are deliberating the different population issues in relation to both social and economic development. They are monitoring the programs at the field level for their proper implementation. They have a very crucial role as advocates for the programs as they represent the people and are fully conversant with the local ethos and culture. There is a strong interaction between IAPD and the members of parliament in India, and we can proudly say that the activities of IAPD has helped in a long way by sensitizing the members of parliament. And therefore, most of the members are very active in this subject. See, last year, Mr. Manmohan Singh has taken a data of the questions put by the parliamentarians on the population and development issue. Well, we have found that a good number of parliamentarians are really taking interest in this subject. I am happy to note that the conference has particularly focused on the population issues, which have been receiving the highest attention at all levels in India, may it be at the level of strategies, policies or programs, formulations, etc. One of the sessions on investing in youth and population dividend is very important in the present context, as India's young population of less than 25 years of age is 50% of India's total population. We are a youthful nation. And the proportion of population below 35 is 65%. As rightly contended in the concept paper, India has formulated many programs and investment plans to reap the demographic dividend. India has created a big pool of highly skilled and educated youth, which has been well used by the IT sector, especially after globalization and opening up of the economy. The service sector, which uses highly skilled manpower, contributed to the high rate of growth of GDP. But still, India has to go a long way and fight many challenges. A large number of females in the age group of 25-30 are still illiterate. The dropout rate at secondary level in females is very high. In some states, males also. But there are some states where all students, 100%, go to the school. Like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, especially the Himachal Pradesh, Goa, and Delhi, there are some states. In rural areas, still girls face problems of security while going to the school outside their village. But it is encouraging to note that the girls have started fighting for the facilities near their residences, and the results are encouraging. Then there is a problem of teacher absenteeism, obsolete classrooms practices and learning crisis. I'm not going to the details, but the whole problem is finally it was question of money, budget. Because only if you spend at least 6% or more than 6% of the GDP, you can give proper education to your citizens. But unfortunately, we are not able to do that. Because we have to grapple with so many other problems, including the problem of poverty. The age structure of population is undergoing a continuous change. It varies in different parts of the world due to the differential impact of demographic transition. Within India, it varies from north to south. Besides aging issues, it leads to migration and redistribution of population. Youth in search of jobs moves to those areas where there is a dearth of labor force. This leads to a lot of ethnic and adjustment problems. In sustainable development, such demographic facts need to be taken into consideration. In addition to this problem, there are aging issues. The young population moves out, leaving the aged in rural areas to fend for themselves. According to the present estimates, nearly 70% of the aged population in India is in rural areas. This needs serious consideration in terms of an effective social security system. It is a fact that number of families, only old parents are there. Because youth who have gone abroad or elsewhere for search of employment. So this has added to the problem. Women's health and particularly productive health in the national development context, which forms the subject matter of another session, is most important. Population issue in the present context in India. The level of fertility in some parts of the country is at a high level. The level of maternal mortality and infant mortality is still high when compared with international standards. Still high in international comparisons, although India has made significant strides during these recent decades. Some states have reached more or less international, say for example Kerala, these parameters are equal to that of Europe. Tamil Nadu is nearing that. Then most of the southern states and Delhi. But there are some states where infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate are all, well, very, very high. Likewise in Kerala, the longevity is also, life expectancy also is equal to that of Europe. So, there are some states in India which have come up well. But unfortunately, there are some others which are lagging behind. So that when you take the average, you are behind. The plans and programs formulated and implemented to achieve Millennium Development Goals has brought in substantial gains, but still significant inroads have to be made in some parts of the country. The poor health infrastructure in these areas is severely affecting the women and the children's health. The vacant post of medical and paramedical personnel and the lack of supplies are adversely affecting the health delivery system. Yes, I mentioned about vacant post of medical personnel, but you should also know that if you go to United States, large number of doctors are from India. Large number of IT persons are from India. Large number. I was chairman of the IIT Delhi. At that time, that was in 93, 97, we conducted a study. We found that 40% of the IIT graduates, the moment they get their degree, you think about the investment for producing an IIT graduate or producing a medical graduate. What is the investment? And the moment they pass, it is a kind of brain drain. And well, this also affects the sustainable development. It is a reverse transfer of resources. And this has to be taken note of. I don't know whether this was discussed here, but since I thought of it. Now, look at this scene. We had the recent unfortunate deaths of children in Gorakhpur and Farrukhabad in Uttar Pradesh because of the poor delivery system and shortage of doctors and all that. And also lack of infrastructure. I am sure that I hope these things must have discussed here, so I don't want to go about that. Another very important aspect to be considered is the environmental sustainability of the population growth. Population growth has made an onslaught on the environment. Not only on the environment. Yesterday, Honorable Minister Naqvi delivered the inaugural address and read it in the newspaper. He said a very important correct point, that exponential growth of population is the biggest hurdle against sustainable development. Some or other this aspect is being neglected. When India got independence, when we got freedom, our population was only 350 million. Today, it is 4 times. 4 times. If you have to keep at the same level of that time, you have to produce 4 times food, 4 times of everything. But from those days, we have gone miles and miles ahead. Lot of development. Perceptible development in every sector, in education, employment, science and technology, industry, everywhere. But you should think that in this background, this development is behind this background. Sustainable, and still we are facing a lot of poverty. 25% of our people are below poverty line. Poverty line. Why? If you really analyze, the main reason is the exponential growth of population. Well, I am only giving a thought for you. You may think, but I said, because yesterday the minister said it, so I think that point is, so perhaps in our discussions, we somehow avoid this issue. Why should we avoid it? It's a fact. It's a real problem. I'm not saying that we should do anything, do some coercion. I'm not saying it, but it's an issue. We should not ignore that issue. That's what I say. Due to rapid population growth and further environmental degradation. Why? Another reason is population growth. Population has made an onslaught on the environment. This is reflected in big natural tragedies like floods and landslide. Due to rapid population growth, the forest cover is shrinking. There is indiscriminate use of forest land and produce for habitation, leading to soil erosion, siltation and flooding. See, it's very important that we keep a certain percent of forest. We have to do, but it's not possible because the population growth is. Forest is being extensive, then further, extensive use of insecticides and pesticides for increasing crop output is leading to pollution of drinking water, which is becoming a health hazard. Depletion of non-renewable resources of energy is another aspect that needs an urgent attention in the face of sustainable development. I endorse the conference agenda which says that for this purpose, business, civil society and government need to reconsider their actions in an inclusive manner. I'm sure all these aspects must have come for discussion in different sessions of the conference. This should attract attention of the parliamentarians at all levels: policy making, implementation, monitoring and advocacy. So this population aspect, environmental aspect, aging aspect, all these have to be brought in when we think of sustainable development. All these have a direct impact on this. The last 2 sessions of your session on transparency, accountability and good governance and role of legislation to achieve 2030 agenda on sustainable development are very important. Focus on global partnership and international division of labor is key to the success of SDGs. In the Indian context, we have been getting international assistance in particularly all the population issues discussed so far. In the field of reproductive health, bilateral and multilateral assistance has been received by us, but the assistance needs to be properly utilized for the purpose received. For that, transparency, accountability and good governance are needed. We the parliamentarians have a big role to play. We can play a role in proper formulation of legislations for the purpose. As people's representative, we can monitor and control its proper implementation and do the advocacy role of dissemination of policies. But I was only attempting to make illustrative suggestions on the different subjects of discussed at Congress. But one point I want to emphasize here, that see, one of the main problems we are facing is environmental degradation and the consequent challenge of climate change. But for sustainable development, if it is to be achieved, the government or developing countries should divert a major portion of their budget on certain particular area for certain goals to be achieved, which has been decided by all world leaders. At the same time, see, the climate change and total environment pollution is a product of, development also. So, developed countries have a greater responsibility to deal with climate change and environmental problems. So, to ensure, to see that sustainable development is achieved by 2030, there should be greater cooperation between the developed countries and developing countries, and there should be flow of funds from developed countries to developing countries. But as I mentioned in the beginning, there is real flow of funds from here to there, to developed countries. If you compute the expenditure, the cost of engineers and doctors working say for example, in the United States, from India, you will see it's a big sum. Therefore, all these aspects have to be factored in. That's all what I am saying. I don't want to take more of your time. I was only attempting to make illustrative suggestions on different subjects discussed on the conference. I am pretty sure that much more meaningful discussion must have taken place at the conference, which is very useful for proper formulation of strategies, programs and others. I am quite sure that delegates in both formal and informal sessions must have enriched themselves and must have enjoyed the stay and got themselves educated by this conference. And also I have seen the draft Delhi declaration. That's very fine. And I also found that Viplavji and Rapalu were fighting to still improve it. Yes, you can, if you try, you can still improve. See, there is no, perfection is only an unachievable thing. It's only a goal. You can work on anything and still improve and improve and improve. So if only the chair had allowed them to continue their work, you would have been sitting late in the night. Because every word they want to improve. Every subject. But congratulations. But that declaration, of course, is an ideal declaration. And I would request the Honorable Members, the responsibility of parliamentarians, read it. We should understand. We should try to sensitize other members of parliament. We should try to bring in legislation which helps sustainable development. We should try to influence the government. And the best time to influence the government is at the time of budget making. Now Mr. Anand has given me a paper. I think you have given me. Sorry, someone has given me a paper on budget making, and there should be an office. Budget making is a most important process wherein MPs should intervene. Unfortunately, to be frank with you, MPs are only approving or disapproving budget. They are not making their budget. No, in India, Rajya Sabha cannot disapprove. Of course, in Britain also, Rajya Sabha, because we are following almost that system. Rajya Sabha, the budget is a money bill. If it comes as a money bill, and then, but the fact is that is the time we should ask for more funds for women's welfare, for children's welfare, for education, for especially then the protection of women, all these, then family welfare activities. For all these, funds should be there. Because government has so many issues to challenge in industry, this, that. So there should be pressure from MPs. So I am sure the conference here has certainly given an idea to you about what is to be done, and you will use all your might to ensure that your government will concentrate more on achieving the SDG goals by 2030. When I say this, I should also comment on, I don't know, I have taken more time. Have I taken more time? Yes, sir. You have taken more time. So I can stop here. So, but yeah. So, but I have to say that, see, what about MDGs? We should know that no country has achieved MDG 100%. And some countries have reached partially reasonably good, and some countries have not even reached 50%, lagging behind. That should not happen in the case of SDGs. At least here we have Asia and Africa represented. And most of the poor nations are in Asia and Africa. Let us take a determination that yes, we will force our government so that SDG is achieved by 2030. This conference is an impetus, an encouragement for that. With these words, I thank all of you for giving your indulgence to me. Thank you very much. Have a best day here. With these words, thank you very much.